I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely, and this is the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. I'm taking the taboos of menopause and perimenopause and bringing light to the dark. No bullshit, no shame. It's time for us to gain a new paradigm in female health, out with the old and in with the new, and I'm bringing fresh perspectives from someone in the arena. I've been practicing women's health for nearly 20 years, and I'm spilling the tea on what it means to live at midlife, knowing that the best is yet to come. I'm sharing my Gen X approach to living through this transition. Sassy, a bit sweary, and always honest. Tactical tips and instantly usable information is my aim. I hope to make you laugh and that you learn something new that helps you embrace the change. Together, we bring power to the peri. Onward to the podcast. I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely, and you're tuned in to the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. I have a great conversation to share with you today, one I've been looking forward to for about 7 or 8 months at this point, so I'm pretty excited to share that information. But before I do, I just want to take a moment to recognize that for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, the summer months, the warmer months are very short. That's true for me in Canada for sure. And in honor of that, I am taking a little time away from the podcast. It's now middle of July. You'll see me again towards the end of August. And I want you to really embrace rest this summer if you can. I sure hope you can. I'm doing my darndest to do that. To allow spaciousness in your life. You know, I am just as much surrounded with information, and because I'm a curious sort, I always want to know more about things. And this is especially true when I'm interviewing my fantastic guests, as I take so many notes, and then I go off to look up the science behind, especially if my guests like Amitay Eshel today actually telling me about the papers. I want to go and look. And I have to remind myself that we were never meant to be continuously productive. That's a mechanism of capitalism. And if you're not sure if capitalism has done us any favors, I think it's been good in a lot of ways, but we've overdone it like so many things. And I just want I want to encourage you to take a breather, to take a rest, to go out for a walk, and maybe don't listen to a podcast. Maybe don't listen to music. Music can be regulating for the nervous system, so that one's okay. But sometimes a podcast can stir things up in us. And for me, I'm going out without my headphones. I'm going to try to go out without my phone. Let's see how this goes. But I want to go out and listen to the sounds of nature because I know my nervous system gets regulated when I can hear the birdies chirping and the sound of water and the sound of the wind in the trees. And there's such a brief period of time here in Western Canada where I can actually do that without having to put on a snowsuit. So this is what I'm doing for the next several weeks, and I would love to hear your stories of rest and spaciousness and taking a pause. And if you're not in North America and listening to the show, first of all, thank you. And I know y'all are wearing your sweaters. I see my Australian sisters on TikTok wearing their sweaters about this time of the year. Meanwhile, I'm sweating to the oldies over here as we are baking under a heat dome today, etc. So if you're not signed up for the Fiona's Favorites newsletter, please do so. That's at drlovely.com. That one will come out, I think there'll be another 18th of July. There'll be one come out, and I'm going to take a pause with that as well to let myself and my team take a breather and recognize we all come back refreshed. So with that, I'd love to hear what your rest stories are. Drop me a note on Instagram, on TikTok. Send me a note through the website, which is drlovely.com, and tell me what you learned about yourself. I expect to come back refreshed and with a clear mind, and to share with you the emerging science of menopause, which is a deep love for me, for sure. So Thank you, as always, for listening to the show. Let me tell you about my conversation with Amitay Eshel. Amitay is an entrepreneur in the biohacking and beauty industries with over a decade of executive experience in health, wellness, and beauty, as well as business development consulting. As a co-founder and CEO of Young Goose and host of the Young Goose Biohacking Beauty podcast, Amitay drives innovation in wellness by focusing on performance optimization and skin health. A renowned speaker and wellness expert, he has been featured on various podcasts and at events like Biohacking Congress and KetoCon. Outside of work, Amitay enjoys martial arts, mindfulness, cooking, traveling, and studying history, always staying informed on the latest in health and longevity. Okay, so basically I came into this conversation wanting to talk to him about why we see aging on our face so quickly at menopause. What is up with that? And he doesn't hold back. He tells us there is very good science that shows that women have a burst of decline at the start of perimenopause in our sort of early 40s. And when the menopause transition is completed, and now we're into menopause, and that's, of course, in our 50s and early 60s, and we see a big decline in, first of all, estrogen, but that decline in estrogen also causes a decline in collagen, a decline in elasticity of the skin, hyaluronic acid, and something I learned today that I did not know, even as an autophagy geek like I am, that decreased estrogen causes decrease in autophagy. So that, my friends, is the thing I will be taking to the science databases today and seeing what I can find on that, because you can bet your butt I'm going to figure out how to biohack that for myself, which then I will teach you guys, which is why I started this podcast in the first place 10 plus years ago at this point, was to share what I was learning for myself with my patients in clinic and now with you across the globe. So thank you for listening. I know many of you have listened to me for the whole 10 years, and I thank you for that. I know my opinion has changed greatly in 10 years, and so thanks for coming along with me on the ride. Now, Amitay talked to us about some very important molecules when it comes to skin health and wellness, specifically NAD and spermidine. And at times he had me laughing about how some of these things were discovered in science. But then he and his partner have created a skin health and wellness company that really looks at aging from a very different perspective than just doing the things to treat the wrinkles. He's talking about we've got it from a different angle, but also how can we get rid of what's already managed to show up. Okay. Now I can tell you I've been using the products that Amitay has formulated that are deeply in the science, and they are like nothing else I have tried before. Of course, his company is called Young Goose. If you want to go check it out before you listen to the show, you can go to younggoose.com. That's 2 G's, younggoose.com. Of course, this link will be in the notes, and you can use the code LOVELY for a 10% discount. So I do talk towards the end of the show, which are my favorite products, which I have seen the biggest difference with, and he's got new ones coming, but there's a whole lot of great conversation that happens here, and I'm really just very excited to share Amitay Eshel with you as the listeners of the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Amitay. Welcome to the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely, and today I have a guest that I'm super excited about. He and I met about 7 months ago in Las Vegas, and I became aware of the kinds of information he can share with us today, and he's here to share it. Amitay Eshel of Young Goose, podcaster, entrepreneur, and skin health expert. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's lovely being here.
I'm feeling quite lovely myself today, too.
I bet you've never heard that before.
No, not at all. No. We have a saying in our family that goes something like this. When somebody says that and they repeat it, we say, yes, it's JFL, which means just lovely. You can fill in the F. But
Uh,
it's a blessing to have this name. Anyways, I'm so excited for our conversation. I've heard you interviewed by some of my favorite podcasters, and I know you've got great information to share. But first, Amitay, I want to hear your story. How did you find yourself talking about skin health?
well, I am a very vain person. So, I mean, no, but really, my story is a little bit, I think, not even talking about skin, like, but within the wellness world, most people have a personal kind of trials and tribulations type story where they've gone through something, it affected them in a certain way. They found a way to cope with it, to heal it, to get through it, whatever that is, and they kind of become an advocate for that. I'm one of the rare cases in my experience that is not the case. That I came because I found it very interesting. So I was after my military service in Israel, I got recruited to because I had some interesting military service experience. I got recruited to become an executive in the what became the first red light therapy company in the world. We started as a therapeutic laser, and part of my job was to pivot the company from this very serious, extremely expensive, tens of thousands of dollars laser that veterinarians and human, well, veterinarians are also humans, but allopathic medicine
Yep.
doctors used to heal wounds or to support any kind of healing process or to deaden nerves as far as like pain. We tried to pivot to being a affordable, consumer facing device. And the success of that really that really kind of introduced me to the opportunity to kind of unlock people's health journey through their vanity. And I don't regard vanity as a bad thing whatsoever, but that is the case. So I remember when we came out with this panel, which now seems like I'm talking about something that's very common, but back then, imagine the first panels, I don't know if you know, panels that people use until today are basically plant growth panels that have been converted to use the wavelengths that are therapeutic for humans, or fish tank sanitation panels, basically. So these are the molds that were used, and that was very weird in the beginning, obviously, to most people. And there was no one really was interested in this panel that was potentially making them feel a little bit better or making them feel a little bit less achy. It wasn't a big draw. But once we started, but we said, by the way, also once you shine it, let's say on your face, and I think we were talking again about something medical like TMD, like TMJ basically, or something medical, it'll make your skin look better. Suddenly you see people kind of their ears perked up a little bit,
Mhm.
and we understood there is something there. And once they understood their skin's going to look better, to justify a $300 $400 purchase, because the panels were, maybe back then they were even more, they said, yeah, well, I also have this back pain, or I also have whatever that is, that I could also use it for that. But really the connection between skin health and the benefit of overall health kind of being combined was born there. That company got sold, and we started having a consultancy, advising other companies as to how to pivot their medical devices to consumer facing. And that was very fun and fulfilling and rewarding for a while. And that way we got introduced to the biohacking field, which really, biohacking, if you think of it at its core, aside from supplements or testing, it really is consumer-facing medical devices. We fell in love with NAD as a molecule. We fell in love with the powers of this one molecule that improves any type of repair process in the body. And we'll talk, I'm sure we're going to talk about NAD later.
Yes. Yes.
But we were doing IVs of it. These IVs were extremely expensive at the time. We're talking about 2012, 2013. These IVs were probably $1,000 per IV, or a round of 12 was like $13,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so we invested in a project that tried to get it the same way you would have estrogen creams or testosterone creams, where they're going to be absorbed to your bloodstream topically, transdermally. We tried to do the same with NAD, and we failed. And 2 years into researching why we failed, we understood that the skin is so starved of NAD as you are getting exposed to different environmental stressors, or anything that really requires even like estrogen decline, okay, like things that require more energy being spent in the skin for repair. The skin wouldn't share the NAD that you give it. It's going to use it. It's going to use all of it. And we pivoted and we made a skincare company. We made, lemonade out of lemons, if you would, and we made a skincare company because we understood it does answer a need, but always in the back of our mind, we're a wellness company that masqueraded as a skincare company. And that is why we keep exploring molecules that are longevity based, that target biological aging in the skin rather than the appearance of youth. And that is why, our podcast, Biohacking Beauty, seldom talks about just skin. It is the holistic approach, inside out approach to improve your overall health in order to get better skin.
Oh, I have so many ways I want to go with what I'm going to ask you next. Let's unpack this. Okay, first
Yeah.
thing I want to talk about is you said the skin is starved of NAD. Those were your
Mhm.
words. So, first of all, tell us about NAD.
So NAD, well, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is basically the person who discovered it in 1903 got the Nobel Prize in 1920 or 1921. So it's not like a molecule that we've learned about yesterday, right? But for its first century of interaction, scientific exploration interaction, what we thought it was is just a potentiator for energy production in our cells. So we just thought it was the waiter that brought the food to the table. It was the carrier of electrons that then create energy. That's what we thought it was. What changed was in the early 2000s, slightly before that, but really ramped up early 2000s. We started looking at aging as not as a foregone conclusion, but really as a preventable process. That even though we didn't know how to prevent it, we wanted to believe we can prevent it. The same way, by the way, it was born out of the journey to curing cancer. A lot of if someone really looks at the origins of the longevity scientific movement, it was out of the cancer movement. So we talk about the hallmarks of aging; they were born out of the hallmarks of cancer. So aging, because it came kind of from there, started to be viewed as the same way you would view cancer. We don't know at all. Like we can't predict who's going to have it, who isn't. We know about things that accelerate it. We know about people and genetic traits that would be more, susceptible to it or less susceptible to it. But we know it's preventable and curable. And that is how, aging started to be conceptualized. That led to looking at it at different parts of aging and how they work. And what we understood is that there is it's not a material issue. It's not like our body just decays. It's an information issue. The issue is that statistically, in aggregate, our cells lose the information they need, genetic information they need to function properly, to function in an optimal youthful fashion. And this is called the information theory of aging, really popularized by David Sinclair from Harvard, which people would know if he kind of brought the resveratrol products and the first NAD products to market. And basically what it means is that your DNA is a recipe for who you are as a human being. And every cell has access to the information it needs to be your skin cell, your heart cell, etc. And what happens through time is that that information becomes the same way, like if you would play your CD. No one plays CDs anymore, but if you were to play CD over and over and over again, there's going to be wear and tear there. And the CD, although it started as something that has all the information to play beautiful music, is going to start to have issues. That is very similar to how your DNA works and what happens through time. So information becomes less legible, less readable, and less legible, by the way, but really becomes harder to access. And the opposite happens, where information that is supposed to be hidden from your skin cell because it belongs to the part of your cells that are like heart cells starts to become more visible. So it's like it actually works very similar to a muscle, where a muscle needs to be like tense in one area and loose in another area, and it kind of flips. That's what epigenetics is, and that's what happens when you age. You just lose the information of what it means to be youthful. And the theory was that this information could be retrieved the same way you would take toothpaste and a toothbrush, and you would brush your CD and it'll play somewhat better.
Was that the trick? Okay.
That was the trick. That was the trick. Yeah.
Okay.
The information is still there to be accessed. Now the question is like, how do you do that?
Let's talk about something incredibly important: your heart health. You probably already know the stark statistic. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States. Now, it's widely understood that men develop heart disease earlier in life than women. But what you might not know is that this difference starts to change as women age. By the age of 65, women begin to develop heart disease at the same rate as men. Why does this happen? Well, the sources tell us that declining estrogen levels play a significant role. Estrogen has a profound impact on our cardiovascular system. It actively improves our cholesterol levels, keeps inflammation down, increases crucial blood flow around the body, and even helps to reduce damaging free radicals. Think of estrogen as a vital protector for your heart. It's important for our heart health, too, to take minerals. Certain minerals, such as magnesium and boron, are highlighted as being essential nutrients that our hearts and bodies need to function at their peak performance. When your mineral levels drop, it can lead to a decline in both your estrogen levels and your overall heart health. This is why I'm so enthusiastic about my partnership with Beam Minerals. They have formulated a fantastic way to make getting your daily electrolytes and essential minerals absolutely effortless. Forget about cumbersome pills or messy powders. Beam Minerals offers a simple solution. Just a small shot each day provides your body with the natural, plant-based support it needs. Ready to take proactive steps for your heart health and overall well-being? Head on over to beamminerals.com and don't forget to use my special code LOVELY to receive a fantastic 20% off your first order of Beam Minerals. That's LOVELY. Thanks, Beam.
By the way, and a good example would be the first sheep dolly, right? That was replicated. It did die because of at an earlier age because of different. We didn't know how to clone very well back then. But as far as the genetic information, as far as how youthful their dollies cells function while they were alive, they functioned like a baby's, like a lamb's cells would function. And today, obviously, Paris Hilton or whoever, they duplicate their dogs all the time, and it
Come
works
on,
great.
that doesn't really happen, does it?
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
dear.
yeah. Oh yeah, it does.
Oh
Yeah.
dear. Okay.
Oh
okay.
yeah. So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that information is there to be re-accessed. Now the question is how you do that. And there are parts of your body or parts of your cells that's their job. Their job is to do what the brush and the toothpaste would do. And these are driven by NAD. So
Mm.
now we're getting to the NAD. So NAD, which we thought is just this waiter of material back and forth in the mitochondria, which is where you make energy, we found out that the same way or in a similar way to how it supports energy in the mitochondria, it also supports function of any repair process of your body, over 600 processes, to the extent that if I took away all the energy, all the NAD magically from your body, you would die in 30 seconds. And what happens as we grow older is that NAD declines. NAD declines rapidly. By the way, estrogen levels, when they drop, they also increase the decline of NAD.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay.
what happens
Very.
is there is less energy in your cells,
Mm-hmm.
but also slower cellular repair. Less, if we talk about the skin, compromised skin barrier, less collagen, less elastin. So all of those things that are repair oriented, even the fundamental part of your cells, even having the identity of who they are as skin cells or whatever, all of that relies on optimal NAD levels. And that is why it's the cornerstone of longevity interventions is just let's get your NAD levels to their optimal before we do anything else, because anything else will require NAD.
So it seems to me, thank you for the masterclass on NAD, by the way. I will be very eager to return to this conversation's recording so that I can make myself some better notes
Yeah.
after what you just shared. So thank you. Okay, so you said the skin is starved for NAD.
Yes.
So is this a new way of looking at how our skin ages?
Yes and no, because you can think of a stream, right? What is downstream are the effects that we can see. We're standing downstream. So if we see a log, we can see it and we know it's floating downstream. Or if we see, whatever fish, okay, or if the water is a certain color, these are downstream effects. But something happened upstream, right? The flow of water broke that log, or swept it into the water, or those fish were living in a pond and they jumped. So there's things upstream that happen,
Mhm.
which then affect how what we see downstream. So normal skincare or normal medicine really looks at downstream effects. They're saying you have a headache, let's treat your headache, right? You have wrinkles, let's inject Botox because we don't want to see the wrinkles. Your skin has different pigmentation in different areas. Let's suppress the pigment producing mechanisms. Or let's, basically like kind of polish it off, whether it's, physical laser, whatever. But these are very straightforward things you can do, but they don't treat the reason that led you there to begin with. So NAD is one of the most upstream approaches you can take. Obviously, not a complete approach. There is no one magical thing you need to do. There are many things you can do upstream, but NAD is definitely one of those things that sit upmost in the stream and the decline of it affects anything happening downstream. So it's just, going upstream. It's not a different approach. It's just a more, yeah.
Okay. So is this just a matter of applying NAD to our face so we have less wrinkles?
You could say that, but the trick is in nature, your body, for the most part, does not like to receive end results. It doesn't like to receive conclusions. It doesn't know how to do it very well. The body is very independent in the way where it says, "Hey, you give me the building blocks. I know I'll figure out what to do with them." And this could go to many, many different directions, but that's a conclusion. That's downstream what I'm telling you right now. So that's a conclusion. Like your body needs the building blocks of things, and then it's going to create things on its own. It doesn't have NAD doesn't exist in nature as a foregone conclusion. So when I eat a plant or an animal, I'm not consuming straight up NAD. What I'm consuming are mostly, by the way, B3 vitamin forms that then my body recycles NAD out of. So, I'll give you another example. Let's say we eat the skin or cartilage of the animal. We're consuming a lot of things we're basically consuming collagen. So if we eat chicken skin, we're consuming collagen, or, we can talk about whatever, but we consume collagen. But this collagen is not directly, we're not going to have chicken skin. Okay. Maybe some of us, but we're not going to grow suddenly a chicken's skin because that's what we ate. Your body's going to break it down. It's going to break it down to amino acids that then it's going to use to repair its own skin, to create collagen on its own. So the same thing needs to happen with NAD. We need to provide those building blocks, and obviously there are ones that are better than others. Okay. So we want to give it the best and most bioavailable building blocks, which the most bioavailable in the skin is one that's called NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide. And another one would be NR. Both of them they look great. NMN just is a little bit easier to work with, I would say. But they both are great, by the way, just preference as far as like formulation. And your body, they need to be small enough, they need to be stable, which are all things that you need to do to treat it as far as like formulating a product. But yes, you will apply to your skin. And there are about 5 major studies showing that they're going to improve anything from wrinkles to laxity to pigmentation to, again, skin barrier to resilience to anything from like how you look right now to your skin's resilience to your skin longevity. All of those, kind of 3, I would say, pillars of health in your skin, they're all going to be addressed through NAD. And something really important, anything else that you will ever do to your skin, anything else that you think might work, you like, you have a product that you like the most, or you're going to go and get, microneedling done professionally, or you're even if, even your sunblock, okay? Everything that you are using is going to work significantly better if your skin is going to have the building blocks of life, if you would, which are those NAD building blocks, NAD precursors, they're called.
Okay, yes. And I love this. This is the question I just had for you. You're basically telling us that the treatment of wrinkles, if we're just speaking from a completely
Yeah.
vanity point of view, as we started off this conversation. So the treatment of wrinkles, if you will, if they feel like something for some women that want to be treated, the answer is not just retinol or Botox or resurfacing. You're saying that there are other things that we can do that go far beyond that, or
Yeah. So
before that, maybe.
yeah. So I think Botox is different, is definitely there. You're correct in everything you said. Botox isn't stimulatory. It doesn't stimulate a response in your body that would then lead to increased positive results over time. But everything else that you said is, so retinol or peels or lasers or whatever that is, basically is like working out. It's really like working out, which means, the adage is saying, you don't grow, or your fitness does not improve when you work out. It improves at night when you sleep as a response to the workout.
Oh, that's a
Well, all
great
of those things,
analogy.
yeah,
That's
and all of those
great.
things that you are doing, whatever stimulation you're doing, you are not improving the skin at the point of contact. You're telling the skin, hey, I'm giving you this difficulty, this challenge, which then you will need to respond by building resilience, etc. Well, that response requires NAD. It is not only, it only doesn't only require NAD. NAD doesn't work like your gas tank in your car, where you're gonna drive your car is gonna function in at 100%, hopefully, until you don't have gas anymore. But the car doesn't care as far as its performance if you have a full tank or half a tank, right? NAD actually doesn't work that way, where if you don't have enough things are just not going to function. So by the time we're 60, we have half of the amount of NAD that we need. Half of the processes are just not going to, obviously that is an oversimplification, but half of the processes, the repair processes, are just not going to happen. Your body is going to resolve things in a kind of in a patchy fashion, if you would, because you just don't, it doesn't have the ability for repair. So if we stimulated collagen, that's actually going to become scarring, because your body resolves itself into scarring to just to finish a process faster, create resilience, but not create function and movement. So that's to say, yes, NAD is at the core of any process, any positive process you want your skin to go through.
Okay. So,
It's not the only thing, by the way, but it's definitely.
well, yes, this is the thing I'm thinking. Like the women that are listening to us have our conversation today are thinking, okay, I'm pretty sure I've got this problem of not having enough NAD. How do we go about correcting that?
Well, I think it's important to first to mention systemically. So we really want to make sure that NAD is replenished systemically, and we definitely want to start everything from the inside out. So you could supplement on NAD, on NAD precursors. Again, NAD is a molecule. Your body has a hard time kind of interacting with it. It wants to make it itself. Okay, it's like a child. Don't or whatever. You don't teach someone. Don't give someone a fish. Teach them how to fish or whatever. Give them a rod for that matter. So we're going to give our body the precursors, NR, NMN, even things from food like niacin or tryptophan also increase NAD. And the challenge there is, again, other systems like your liver, for example, are starved of NAD as well. Actually, if you think about it, the more cells that that what we call turnover, or that kind of split or renew faster, statistically have a higher need for NAD. So, for example, your liver, which you could regenerate your liver in like 2 to 3 years, would have more demand for NAD than another, like your heart cell, for that matter. But that is kind of besides the point. But other systems require NAD, and that NAD just gets there before it gets to your skin, or gets to your muscle, or to your brain, or to your whatever. So it's not like if I consume NAD orally, all my systems are going to share it like it's a utopian, like it's Canada, right? It's not you don't have a general health system, right? It's America. Whoever
Yeah.
gets there first.
Yeah. Or who has the money to buy the top
Oh,
tier.
oh yeah,
Yes, don't
but
forget that.
whoever's closer to the plate, right? Like the liver gets it first. The liver might keep like 95% of it, and that's, by the way, not an exaggeration. That is correct. So if we care about the skin, now we need strategies to replenish NAD in the skin locally, specifically. And there are two things that you can do. You can provide specialized NAD precursors like NMN, nano liposomal NMN to your skin, which we do in products that we use, like Youth Reset, Youth Daily, Eye Care. We have Youth Firming Neck and Chest, a body cream we're launching now. It's called Youth Firming Body. It's going to have that as well. But you can also do something else, and you could do it in supplement form as well. By the way, I didn't mention that there are also IVs and injections of NAD that one can do to increase NAD systemically in your body as a whole. Talking about the skin again, what we can do is also make your skin make more NAD, and that's kind of the second generation of NAD boosting, which is stimulate processes in your body that tells your cells, specifically where it's applied, this technology, hey, just make more NAD. It's recycling basically. It's called a recycling or salvage pathway, where we're stimulating that process to say, hey, invest more energy to make more NAD. So we do both of those, and the patent that has both of those is called NAD Apex. It actually combines giving more external NAD, but also making more, having your cells make more NAD. And the combination actually is working tremendously.
Mm.
Um, Another thing you could do to increase NAD is basically like target enzymes that deplete NAD and kind of clear them away. That the main one is called CD38. And there are a lot of like herbal, plant-based extracts that could do that. And we use them in many of our products, but our cleanser actually does a really good job and it's called the adaptogenic cleanser. It does a really good job at clearing those enzymes called CD38. So that's another strategy. And really this could in total double the amount of NAD that your skin has.
So it's a whole new way of looking at how we take care of the skin on our face, our neck, our chest, etc.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because as women on the show, women my age, and all of a sudden we're looking at our faces and going, "Holy crap, what happened? What's happening here?" Right? And so it's a
So
whole new way of looking at it. Go ahead, please.
so you're really correct. And by the way, for women, the correlation, by the way, is people don't like, or scientists don't like when you oversimplify things, but the correlation is stark. Women have 2 points where we can see a rapid decline in collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, which are these three, the holy trinity of skin appearance enhancing molecules. One is in our late 30s, early 40s, and one is in our early to mid 50s. Can you guess what happens in these 2 points as well?
Yes.
Well, there is a reason it's called not your mother's menopause, right? So this is kind of the onset of perimenopause and
Hmm.
menopause,
Hmm.
obviously on average. So menopause or perimenopause accelerates skin aging through an AD decline. So during menopause, perimenopause, estrogen levels would obviously drop sharply,
Hmm.
which would lead to a rapid decline of NAD, as I mentioned. And that would kind of weaken any type of like cellular repair function that you would have. That's one thing. And again, estrogen is I think I want to make sure that I kind of stress that estrogen is essential for stimulating specific cells that are responsible kind of to maintain skin thickness and elasticity, which are called fibroblasts. So when estrogen declines, there is an accelerated collagen loss to the extent of 30% collagen loss in the first 5 years of decline in estrogen. But what it means is that it's not only elasticity, but it's aside from being less elastic, it's also becoming thinner, more prone to wrinkles, obviously. Pore size might change. And because these cells are also responsible for things like um, hyaluronic acid production, which is different than hyaluronic acid that you inject or hyaluronic acid that you apply on the skin. It's even though it has the same name, I'd ask you to ignore that. That also contributes to drier skin a lot of the times, or to an overcompensation of that and oilier skin. That could also happen. That's sometimes why people get hormonal acne, for example. So although we were talking a lot about NAD, there are other molecules, for example, copper peptides that
Hmm.
are really good at being kind of an adjunct to that. They work very well together with NAD, and some other peptides that are less known, like lufacil or arginine,
Hmm.
compensate for that because they directly stimulate collagen and elastin synthesis on a genetic level. So they again kind of target the genes that are responsible for that. The third thing that you want to think about when you talk about perimenopause, menopause is what we call a pro-inflammatory state.
Mhm.
So the skin becomes more reactive, and that's what I alluded before when I talked about resilience. So the skin becomes less resilient, and it's like when we are less emotionally resilient in our lives, right? We become more reactive. If I had, something happen to me and someone cuts me on the road, I'm going to respond completely differently than if I've had the best day of my life, right? And I'm more resilient.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the skin becomes more reactive. Redness, rosacea, things like that are then becoming more common. And
Mhm.
in general, there is a rise in a stress called oxidative stress that when we talk about upstream processes, this is also sitting really, really high upstream. And a lot of what we think of as things that increase or accelerate aging, like UV damage, right now, a lot of people are talking about blue light as being one of those things, or pollution, or chemicals, whatever that is, even EMF, non-native EMF radiation, all of those things, really what they are doing in our skin, they get translated to oxidative stress. So it really is, really big culprit in skin aging. And all of that is due to that inflammation and the surge of oxidative stress. So another really, really good, couple molecules to throw at this process and to make sure that we are supporting that NAD optimization are fermented resveratrol and
Okay.
ergothioneine, which I know these are really big, you know,
Why fermented?
don't ask me to spell
Okay, I can spell
ergothioneine, by the way.
resveratrol for you. Yeah,
Uh,
yes.
but fermented because our skin doesn't have, so let's talk about why resveratrol is not very effective in the gut. It's because your gut is very good at because it's a stressor, it's a stress signal from plants, from the environment, which our body is designed to, or bodies in general, like cells are designed to interpret environmental stress because it says something about them. If I live in the same cave for my entire life and the plants around me are stressed because there is pollution that I can't see, or a solar flare, again, that I cannot see, or anything like that, they express stress molecules, which then when I consume, my body understands there is stress. So, for example, everyone likes turmeric. Curcumin is a stress molecule. The problem is that our gut is very good at resolving those stress molecules and kind of metabolizing them. And that's why resveratrol, for example, is not the longevity molecule internally that we hoped it would be.
Mm.
The opposite is true in our skin, where our skin isn't able to break it down at all. And then it's not really responding to it. Or if it does respond to it, it responds to it negatively because it builds toxicity. It becomes irritated by it. So by fermenting it, we actually kind of have we have resveratrol, but we have enzymes that your skin can use in order to break down resveratrol over time. And you're creating this Goldilocks because you can kind of design it. You create a Goldilocks zone where it does convey stress, but it's being resolved quickly and without added stress to the skin.
Okay.
And ergothioneine is this magical new newer antioxidant that we've discovered that is like a master detoxifier in our body. So it resolves oxidative stress, but it also makes you create more glutathione and it works with other antioxidants like superoxide dismutase, all your internal systems of detoxification in order to really push out all of the stressors that your skin is dealing with and lowering inflammation. So these two products are really good at helping neutralize free radicals, but also reduce senescence associated inflammation, or basically like cells that are old that create inflammation. They're really good at like turning down those flames, if you would.
Mm. Mm. So
Yeah,
interesting. Is this why we're seeing to go back to the fermented bit? I see
yeah.
fermented come up a lot in skin. I'm paying more attention to skincare these days than I ever have in my entire life. And
So
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no, fermented is so. First of all, you need to understand that the language in skincare a lot of times is because the FDA doesn't like certain language. So probiotic is not a language that the FDA likes as far as skincare, and we can get into it. But that's it. That's just the truth of the matter is that it's not a healthy language to use as a skincare company. It requires regulation and testing. So
Mm.
for better or for worse, companies that are interested in providing probiotic benefits to the skin need to communicate with other words. So biome, biome supporting or fermented or things like that. So we do ferment ingredients and we do improve. Actually, the thing that improves skin microbiome the most has nothing to do with fermentation, but we mainly ferment resveratrol or a few mushrooms to support the ability of the skin to like integrate them well and use them properly. So these are the two things that fermentation can do. And in
Yes.
skincare, you do see that a lot, especially now that the entire skin microbiome discussion or conversations becoming a more and more of a selling point within skincare products.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you and I could go down a rabbit hole about the FDA and all of that, but we won't. We'll just step away from that. Maybe we'll do that another time. The AG1 you've all heard me talking about for so long just went through a major upgrade. AG1's next gen is here. It's the same single scoop once a day, but now it's clinically backed and formulated with more upgraded vitamins, minerals, and probiotics. The new next gen formula offers a more advanced, clinically backed formula that fills common nutrient gaps and supports gut health, all in the same easy, once a day ritual. AG1 has been a game changer for my mornings. It sets the tone for my day, helps me feel my best, and like I'm taking care of my nutrient needs in one step. AG1's Next Gen includes 5 clinically studied probiotics and additional vitamins and minerals to support whole body health. Now clinically backed with an advanced formula, this is the perfect time to try AG1 if you haven't yet. I've been drinking AG1 daily for 6 years now, and I'm so happy to be partnering with them. Subscribe today and try the next gen of AG1. If you use my link, you'll also get a free bottle of AG D3K2, that's vitamin D3K2, an AG1 welcome kit, and 5 of the upgraded AG1 travel packs with your first order. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com. That's drinkag1.com/Fiona Lovely to get started with AG1's next gen and notice the benefits for yourself. That's drinkag1.com/Fiona Lovely. Hey guys, Dr. Lovely here again. Sorry to butt in while you're listening to this episode. But in case you don't know, I send out an awesome newsletter every 2 weeks. It's called Fiona's Friday Favorites, and I'm getting lots of great feedback about it. I pack it full of the latest and greatest in menopause and perimenopause information, whether it's research or treatment options, or my favorite supplement, or my favorite yoga pose, or recipe, or book, or podcast of that 2-week period. People are loving it. So go to drlovely.com. That's drlovely.com. And right at the top where it says shift here, enter your name and your email address, and we'll be sure to add you to the list of Fiona's Friday favorites. Thanks for listening. Okay, so let's talk about, I want to come back to something you said about the pro-inflammatory state of perimenopause. That's
Yeah.
huge. Holy cow, where did we go? You just flipped screen. I don't know how I did that. Anyways, okay, there you go. You're back. Did you just flip screens there while we were talking?
I think you did the hand sign, and the Zoom was like, okay, I guess this is a the code word for something. But yeah,
Yes. Let's come
so
back to the pro-inflammatory bit, please.
sure. So first of all, remember that I said that we named different contributors to aging,
Hmm.
and we call them the hallmarks of aging. So now we have names for everything that is a big factor in aging as a whole. And we started from the hallmarks of cancer. And one of those, so that's kind of where we went. But if we talk about the hallmarks of aging, one of those hallmarks is
Hmm.
called inflammaging, which is basically a chronic low-grade inflammation
Hmm.
that sits in the background and drives aging. And I really want you I really think that we should have a different discussion around inflammation because inflammation isn't innately bad. I'll give you an example. So
Please.
everyone's talking about ice baths this day. And there was just a new study that came out that said that if you do an ice bath after you worked out, you reduce the muscle growth by 66%.
Hmm.
Why is
Interesting.
that? It's because, as we said, you actually created inflammation that your body now needs to resolve and address and become more resilient. And that's how muscles grow. So if I use something like an ice bath that aggressively downregulates inflammation, I actually am not necessarily harming myself, but I'm actually harming the potential benefits that I will get or lowering the potential benefits. So inflammation is just information. Okay, I would like you to now, anyone who's listening, to every time they hear the word inflammation, they should tell themselves inflammation is information.
I like that.
But imagine what would happen if I had a nagging little fly in your ear. Low grade information, low grade sound, just nagging in your ear when you're trying to have a serious conversation with someone or study something, right?
Mhm.
The fact that this information is not resolved, the fact that it's lingering around, repeating, and not being able to be resolved is what disrupts the entire mechanism. Okay. And that the inflammation isn't that, but inflammation needs the relationship between inflammation and resolution is the way our body progresses. And when inflammation is not resolved over time, that is where we call it chronic inflammation,
Problem.
and that is the bad type of inflammation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you and I have spent time studying biochemistry, and so we understand that to continue with the gym information that you just shared, you do the exercise, you tear the muscles, the inflammatory molecules come in and they signal the body to heal. And what
Yeah.
you're basically saying is if you're jumping in the ice bath, then you're actually preventing that healing from
Yeah.
happening. So it makes sense to you and I, but not everybody has studied that. And so I think these little bits of information are really, really helpful. We get them out there to people who,
Yeah.
say, listen, don't just say, well, my neighbor says doing an ice bath is good for so and so, for such a this,
There is a
whatever.
reason it's called bro science.
Love that. Okay. So don't listen to the bros unless it's
Yeah.
Amitai. Okay, well, and you're here to really help us understand what's happening.
Unbro the science.
Unbro the
Um,
science. I love it.
well, yeah, and I think another thing that is not being resolved as we grow older. So inflammation is definitely one thing, and another thing is as we grow older, especially again for women, it's actually there's something that is also driven by estrogen
Hmm.
loss
Okay.
is something called autophagy. Autophagy is autophagy, which is self-eating. So basically, what that is, this is our recycling mechanism in our body. So let's say we created collagen.
Hmm.
Collagen looks like a spring. What would happen if I use the spring over and over and over again? It loses its elasticity.
Hmm.
And the same thing happens with collagen. The same thing, collagen is just an analogy here, even though it is what happens, but there are, thousands of things that behave the same way. Your mitochondria is one of them. I mean, we can go over and but I mean, there are so many things. This is would be a laundry list podcast. I would just name things until the podcast ends. But our body has a mechanism that is in charge of taking older things that have been created well, but are now they've served their purpose, and now they need to be ushered out, recycled, and made anew again. The phoenix process, if you would. That is autophagy. And estrogen decline also leads to autophagy decline.
Okay, this is huge. This is huge. What you're talking about is so big. Please go on.
Yeah. So that causes anything from cellular debris just floating around
Mhm.
to things that we can see, like again, if we don't have properly functioning collagen or elastin or pigment cells or whatever that is, or pigment itself, then we have anything from dull skin to wrinkles to older, just aging in general appears there. So my favorite, and I think the most impactful longevity molecule that we haven't even talked about until now, is a molecule called spermidine. Yes, it was discovered in sperm in the 400 years ago or 300 years ago. It was discovered by the guy who invented the microscope, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek.
Mhm.
And you can imagine what happens to a boy that is left alone with a microscope in the room. Before too long, he's going to look at his own sperm. And that's what happened. And he saw some crystals there and he called them,
Yeah.
spermidine, or he didn't really call it spermidine back then, but he saw some crystals. He did, he kind of remarked on that. He was a very open guy, apparently.
Apparently
And
so.
yeah, and later when spermidine was researched, it was hypothesized that that's what he saw there, and that's why it's called spermidine.
I see.
Um,
Okay. Why is
but
it important?
it's in every creature from the dawn of time, since we were amoebas. Okay, imagine two types of amoebas. Amoebas that just go ahead and just procreate and multiply, never mind what. And then there is some cataclysm. There again, like this solar flare that I mentioned, or whatever. Suddenly, you're at a very jeopardized state if you always try to replicate, and there's damage from the environment that is harming all of those cells. These amoebas are going to die. And magically, there are other amoebas, and this is something that really happened, billions of years ago. Some amoebas, when they're stressed, they say, let's hunker down. Let's take everything that we've already created and let's just renew it. Let's take things that we already have and make them new again. And that's how we can survive more stress from the environment. And that is the process of autophagy. It is the key, and these amoebas survived those things. So it is a key mechanism that started from the early onset of life. So everything has spermidine. Some things have more spermidine than others. Germ lines in general have more spermidine. And basically, it is the trigger, it is the key that unlocks the process of renewal, of taking older parts that don't function optimally and using them to create newer parts or to optimize function. Well, a lot of times it's called waste removal, but I would like to think of it like a chimney that doesn't only remove the soot, the waste, but it also stokes the flame of renewal. So more autophagy we have, the more collagen we can make. We actually, like, when we introduce more autophagy through applying spermidine, which by now we're the only company who use spermidine, but through applying spermidine to the skin or taking it orally, we are not only cleaning out debris, but we're stoking renewal. And that is why, again, the person who discovered autophagy won a Nobel Prize 2016. That's the company that we worked with to develop topical spermidine.
Mhm.
He's one of the founders. It is targeted. We said about the hallmarks of aging. It actually targets almost all of them at once. So it's the molecule that targets the most amount of hallmarks of aging at once. And when people take it orally as a powder or pill, they the best results they get, or the things that they can obviously tell, are hair, skin, and nails, because that's the apparent result of better renewal in the body. When you apply
Interesting.
it on your skin,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. It's funny thing. There's research showing that it improves collagen, elastin, improves pigment, everything. But if the funny thing is that again, it's essential to life. So you're not the only thing that the only person, species that needs it. It's also your skin microbiome, all the little microbes that live on your skin and contribute to healthy skin. They need better autophagy as well. So you get better skin microbiome too. So it's a magical molecule. In my opinion, the most important molecule that we've kind of launched in skincare.
Wow, I love this.
Yeah.
So I have so many things in my head right now that I want to ask you about, but to be respectful of time, let me go this way.
Yeah.
So you've said, just to wrap it up on spermidine, you can take it internally as
Hmm.
well as apply it topically, which is what you and your company Young Goose
Yeah.
have done in your skincare line.
Basically, the youth line of product that we
Hmm.
have. So we have a serums youth reset, moisturizer youth daily, and youth neck and chest for the neck and chest, and youth firming body is coming out in a couple of weeks. So I don't know when this podcast is going to launch, but maybe it's the youth body products already going to be available. These are the products that have our latest NAD innovations plus the spermidine. If anyone wants to give Young Goose a try, those are going to be the products that I would recommend to start with.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have been using them now for a couple of months, and what kind of magic are you putting in here,
I
Amitay?
told you the one that
Seriously.
we gave you is the one with the crack. So
Oh, yes, that's right, right, right. You did. Every time I put it on, I'm like, what in heaven's name is in here?
yeah,
Because it's like nothing else I've tried. It's quite amazing. I
yeah,
don't even know probably my favorite product. I don't know if I'm supposed to call it out, but here we go. I love the hyperbaric
yeah,
mask. Please
yeah.
tell
That's
me,
it.
can you share what's in there? Or at least tell
Yeah,
us
yeah,
how it
yeah.
works.
So it works. So that works very differently to everything we spoke about now, because what it does, it tricks your cells to think you're in a hyperbaric chamber. So we activate the same pathways like being in a hyperbaric chamber, which is this magical place where you go to kickstart regeneration in your body. So your body's basically now is going to create much, much, much more energy and activate, different things like collagen production, things like that. So it's less of a true longevity approach where we go back to the source of what's wrong and kind of, tweak it. It's much more of a kind of classical approach of let's make your skin at this moment in time function at the most optimal. So if we had the three pillars of skin health, which are like optimal performance right now, optimal function right now, resilience and longevity, it definitely is a heavy emphasis on optimal performance, optimal function right now. But the cool thing about it is that, yes, a lot of people, rightfully so, they want to see a result today, tomorrow, whatever that is. They want to see a result when they use a product. And, not everyone takes our word. And when we say use our products for 6 months, a year, and your skin's going to, transform. People want to transform tomorrow, which is understandable. So this is the product that if someone was skeptical about what I was saying, and to be honest, I love being a skeptic. So you're definitely allowed. That would be a product where you said, hey, I'll use one product. I'll see if these guys are full of BS or not.
Hmm.
And you'll be a convert within 3 days. And
Well,
it's really cool product. One thing I
yeah.
would say, it's a really cool product to integrate because it doesn't kick out, it doesn't replace anything that anyone has ever used in the regimen.
Hmm.
You apply it after your moisturizer, after you did everything at night. You let it sit on your skin the whole night.
Hmm.
Doesn't stain the pillow or anything like that. By morning, you have nothing on your skin. But that's, yeah, magic in a jar for sure.
It really is. Well, and the eye care serum, holy
Yeah.
cow, like I have to admit, I have a little bit of a hooded eye. I use
Uh-huh.
that and the hooded eye is gone. I do not know what magic you have in there. Maybe don't
We
share
call it
it.
we call it Robin Unhood. No, but this was one of our first products, and it doesn't have spermidine. We're still about a year out from releasing a youth version of that,
Mhm.
which would have also spermidine, but it does have the NAD precursors. It has the copper peptide, which I mentioned, has some other peptides that are really effective. So that is one of the products that have made us popular, which
Mhm.
then we've capitalized on that popularity to innovate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It
yeah,
works amazingly well.
yeah.
Amazingly well. Okay. So, I feel like I have to say this. One of the things that was the first product I tried, of the Young Goose goodies. And when I dispensed it and I could smell the rose smell,
The
I thought,
hyperbaric mask, yeah.
yes, I thought, okay, so this is a company that's actually paying attention to this stuff because I can tell it's not a fragrance. I
Yeah.
absolutely, right? And did you know rose, the scent of rose, the natural scent of rose has the highest frequency of any smell available. It's the same frequency as what we associate with the divine, whatever your word for the divine is.
Wow.
It's true,
Never,
David.
I've never heard about that before at all. That's
Ah,
really
so I
cool.
taught you something today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you look into the work of David Hawkins, he is
Yeah.
the one that talks about the essence of rose has the same frequency as God, Buddha, Krishna,
Nice.
whatever. Yes. So in my mind, that was the mythology I made up for myself when I dispensed the product for
I'll
the
take
first
it.
time. Okay.
We yeah, Rose has something very similar um to resveratrol, which I mentioned. It's
Hmm.
a sister molecule, if you would. So that's why you smell that. But yeah, I'll take it. I'll
Yeah.
done.
That's so.
That's what I'm gonna say. Like you know,
So when we were formulating this,
exactly.
I love it. Okay, when you and I met, I am
Mhm.
pretty sure you said the words, "Did you know that whatever you put on your face ends up in your brain within a short amount of time?"
Yeah, no. So it's yeah, that's
Something
correct.
similar,
But
right?
so we talked. I did mention senescent cells, so cells, or people call them now zombie cells, but these are just really old cells that your body did not kill off, which is normally what happens to older cells. They lingered around, and it statistically happens. So it definitely is a part of aging, or it's definitely happening more and more when someone gets older and older. But and even older politicians, sometimes people call them senescent.
Hmm.
But really, what it is just accumulation of older cells that don't contribute. They actually contribute only inflammation. And these cells, the reason they're called zombie cells is because they infect other cells as well in their state. And when there is enough of them, they actually hijack the communication between your skin and your brain. So your skin is a sensory organ as well that needs to convey different messages to the brain, whether it is again, environmental cues, light, whatever that is. And they actually inflame that, what we call the skin brain axis. This is, by the way, a series of studies out of Lisbon, Portugal. And they show how through that, they actually infects brain cells in senescence and stress a specific center in the brain that's called the HPA axis,
Hmm.
hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis,
Hmm.
which is considered the center of stress in your brain. So through stressing it, you're actually aging your brain and then aging your body. Um, that's one thing that correlates skin and brain function.
Hmm.
Another is if you use chemical sunblocks, they do absorb through your bloodstream and we can see them in your brain even 10 years later. So use mineral sunblock and not chemical.
Yes, we too talk about mineral sunblock on this show.
Yeah.
As somebody, I will be traveling this summer and I'm going somewhere that's very hot right now. And so what I've been trying to find is a mineral sunblock that's a spray that I can apply after I've put my makeup on to touch up throughout the day. So if you need an idea of something to come up with your next product, put that. There is one product on the planet that does that right now. By the way, it's out of
Hmm.
Australia. I'll tell you about it another time.
Cool.
But that one is a tough one, and I know we don't hear enough about why mineral sunscreen is so much more important than all of the shitty things that are in regular sunscreen. You just go for the cheap stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Definitely.
Okay. Listen, I know women are going to have heard our conversation today, Amitai, and be like, where can I get this? So, can you tell us about where to find the products we talked about and where to find out more information about you and Young Goose, please?
Okay, so first of all, younggoose.com. It's double G, younggoose.com. They can use code LOVELY and get 10%
Yay!
off. And
Thank you for that.
yeah, if anyone's interested in more of my wife's rants on skin longevity or interested in hearing from experts within skin health, they are welcome to listen to our podcast, which is called Biohacking Beauty, currently ranked number 2 worldwide in beauty. So I
Amazing.
assume there are people that um, and Biohacking Beauty, anywhere you listen to podcasts, YouTube, whatever. We also have a pretty interesting Instagram page, in my opinion, which is young_goose_skincare. And yeah, that's basically it. Code lovely,
Good, lovely.
younggoose.com.
Try the hyperbaric mask.
Yeah,
I'm
try
telling
the
you,
hack one. Yeah.
it's all good, but the hyperbaric mask is up there for me. Okay, so and I'm actually very excited to try the new products coming, which you said were called Youth. Is that right?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay, that'll be next up for me. All right, I've got a question for you. So, I ask everybody that comes on the show this question, so have a little fun with it. Knowing what you know now, Amitai, what would you tell your younger self?
Be more daring, follow your heart, love more, celebrate more, try to be more in the moment. It's a concept that's very hard to verbalize, but I have this little thing that I've realized that um, you're always identifying with who you are right now, and it's really hard for you to identify with who you were or who you will be. But you are always, but there, the time doesn't feel like it moved, or you don't feel like you've changed. You always feel like you who you are right now. But obviously things around you morph, like you now have more of you in the past, etc. And I think every small decision, every habit you build, everything like that, you're basically shaping your experience of who you are. And what I try to do is be cognizant of the habits that I build in order to cultivate the person that will be identifying with, in next week or next year or in 10 years. It obviously doesn't always work, but we are basically the accumulation of our decisions and our habits.
Oh, beautiful. That's great life advice too. Thank you for sharing. And I just want to thank you for being vain so that you went
Yeah,
down this rabbit hole for the rest of us.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you
100%.
for that. Thank you. And thanks for coming on the Not Your Mother's Menopause, Amitai.
Thank you for having me.
The information and other content provided in this show, or in any linked materials, is not intended and should not be construed as medical advice, nor is the information a substitute for professional medical expertise or treatment. We are doctors, but we aren't your doctor. Seek your doctor's opinion. If you or any other person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical treatment. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have heard in this podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The opinions and views expressed on this page and in this show have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, health practice, or other institution. Thank you.